The emergency klaxons on Research Station Helios blared through the corridors, their piercing wail drawing Maya Patel from her sleep. She fumbled for her tablet, squinting at the bright screen. Unknown entity detected, Sector 7, containment protocol active. Her heart raced as she pulled on her research uniform and grabbed her field kit. The station's curved halls were already filled with personnel rushing to their designated safety zones. Maya moved against the flow, her xenobiologist credentials allowing her through the security checkpoints. Director Rochester's voice crackled over the intercom, all non-essential personnel must evacuate Sector 7 immediately. This is not a drill. Maya reached the observation deck overlooking Sector 7's biodome. Through the reinforced windows, she saw it, a creature unlike anything in their extensive xenobiology database. It moved like liquid crystal, its translucent body reflecting and refracting the biodome's lights in mesmerizing patterns. Security officers had their weapons trained on it, their faces masks of tension. "Dr. Patel, you shouldn't be here," Commander Ellis said, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on her. "We're preparing to neutralize the entity." "Wait." Maya stepped forward, pressing her hand against the glass. "Look at its movement patterns. They're deliberate, structured. This isn't random behavior." The creature had begun forming complex geometric shapes, its crystalline body restructuring itself with mathematical precision. Ellis shook his head. "It breached our highest security protocols like they were nothing. We can't risk dash." "Give me 1 hour," Maya interrupted. 1 hour to attempt communication. If I'm wrong, if it shows any sign of hostility, you can proceed with neutralization. She met Ellis's gaze, unflinching. But if I'm right, we could be witnessing first contact with a completely new form of intelligence. The commander's jaw tightened. 30 minutes. And you stay behind the containment field. Maya worked quickly, setting up her equipment while the security team maintained their positions. She began with simple pattern projections, basic geometric shapes matching those the creature had displayed. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. Then, the creature shifted, its crystalline form rippling as it replicated her patterns with perfect precision. "Incredible," Maya whispered, increasing the complexity of the sequences. The creature, she named it Crix in her mind, not only copied them but began adding variations, expanding upon them in ways that suggested not just intelligence, but creativity. A security officer shifted nervously. "Dr. Patel, your time is almost up." Maya barely heard him. She was transfixed by Crix's responses, which had evolved into what appeared to be a mathematical language. Through her tablet, she projected a simple question in geometric form: "Who are you?" Crix's body pulsed with intense light, and suddenly the air was filled with crystalline structures, each catching and refracting light in specific ways. Maya's translation software worked frantically to process the patterns. When the first translated symbols appeared on her screen, she gasped. "Scout. Seeker. Friend." Commander Ellis stepped forward. "Dr. Patel, what's happening?" "It's communicating," Maya said, her voice filled with wonder. "And it's been watching us, learning. Those aren't just random words, it chose terms we would understand." She turned to Ellis, her eyes bright with excitement. "Don't you see? It didn't break in, it was invited. By our own signals, our broadcasts into space. It came to answer." Before Ellis could respond, Crix moved closer to the containment field. The security team raised their weapons, but Maya stepped forward, placing herself between them and the creature. The crystalline being extended a portion of itself, forming a complex pattern that Maya's software quickly translated: "Others fear. You understand. Will you help?" In that moment, Maya knew she faced a choice that would change everything, not just for her, but potentially for all of humanity. Behind her, she could hear Ellis barking orders, could feel the tension in the room reaching a breaking point. But as she looked at Crix, seeing intelligence and possibility where others saw only threat, she made her decision. Yes, she said, both in words and through projected patterns. I'll help. The security team erupted in protest, but Maya stood her ground. She watched as Crix's form shifted again, this time creating a display that her software translated into a warning. Danger was coming, not from Crix, but from deep space. Its species had traveled vast distances, seeking allies against a threat that endangered all sentient life. As Maya began to grasp the magnitude of what Crix was revealing, she realized that her decision to trust, to look past fear and see possibility, might have just placed her at the center of humanity's greatest challenge, and its greatest opportunity. The next few hours would determine whether humanity would gain a powerful ally or make a devastating mistake, and everything hinged on her ability to convince others to see what she saw, not a monster, but a messenger. Director Rochester's voice came through her calm. Dr. Patel, report to my office immediately. She could hear the barely controlled anger in his tone, but Maya stood firm, her eyes locked with Crix's crystalline form. She had 30 minutes to prove she was right, to show them all that understanding was better than fear. The fate of two species might depend on it. Maya stood before Director Rochester's desk, her tablet clutched tightly in her hands. The office's panoramic windows offered a stunning view of the gas giant their station orbited, but no one was admiring the scenery. Rochester's face was thunderous as he reviewed the security footage. Do you understand what you've done? He asked, his voice eerily calm. You've compromised the safety of this entire station. 342 lives, Dr. Patel, all at risk because you decided to trust an unknown alien entity. With respect, sir, Maya replied, Crix has shown no hostile intent. The patterns it's sharing, they're beyond anything we've seen. Look at this. She placed her tablet on his desk, displaying complex mathematical sequences. These aren't just communications. They're warnings. Star charts. Something's coming, something that threatens both our species. Rochester's expression didn't change. Commander Ellis tells me you've been in the containment lab for 18 hours straight. When was the last time you slept? This is more important than sleep, Maya insisted. Crix's species has been monitoring multiple galaxies, tracking something they call the void. It's like a cosmic cancer, consuming everything in its path. They've been searching for civilizations advanced enough to help fight it. And of all the beings in the universe, this crystalline entity just happened to choose you as its confidant. Rochester's skepticism was palpable. Before Maya could respond, her tablet lit up with new patterns. She'd maintained a connection to the containment lab systems, allowing Crix to communicate with her remotely. The translation software worked quickly, time short. Must prepare. Others coming. Rochester leaned forward. Others? What others? Maya's fingers flew over the tablet, sending questions back to Crix. The response made her blood run cold. More of Crix's kind are coming, but they're being pursued. The void, it's not just a natural phenomenon. There's intelligence behind it, hostile intelligence. Crix's people have been running from it for millennia. The director's office comm chimed. Sir, Commander Ellis's voice was tense. We're detecting multiple anomalies at the edge of our sensor range. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Maya watched the color drain from Rochester's face. How many? 7 distinct signatures, sir. And they're accelerating toward us. The office erupted into action. Rochester barked orders into his comm while Maya rushed to the observation windows. In the distance, space itself seemed to ripple, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Through these distortions, crystalline forms emerged, each larger than their station's main hub. They're here to help, Maya insisted, but her voice wavered. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. Crix has been preparing them, teaching them how to communicate with us. Rochester grabbed her arm. You need to be sure about this, Dr. Patel. Absolutely sure. Because if you're wrong. The station's sensors screamed new warnings. Beyond the approaching crystalline ships, something else was emerging from deep space. It was like watching a hole being punched in reality, a void of absolute darkness that seemed to swallow light itself. Maya ran for the door. I need to get to Crix. It's been trying to prepare us for this moment, but we haven't had enough time. This time, Rochester didn't try to stop her. Ellis, coordinate with station security. All non-essential personnel to emergency shelters. Dr. Patel. He paused, conflict clear on his face. Do what you need to do. But remember, this station is my responsibility. If those things out there pose any threat to my people. Maya nodded grimly. I understand, sir. The corridors were chaos as Maya sprinted toward the containment lab. Emergency protocols had transformed the station's atmosphere from casual research facility to battle station. Through windows, she caught glimpses of the approaching crystalline fleet, their forms now close enough to eclipse the stars. She found Crix in an agitated state, its crystalline body fluctuating rapidly between forms. The security team looked on nervously as she approached the containment field. Your people are here, Maya said, projecting the patterns they developed for communication. But something followed them. The void? Crix's response was urgent, almost frantic. Hunters. Void hunters. They follow. They consume. They corrupt. Must join. Must fight. No time. Join. How? Maya pressed closer to the field. What do you need from us? The answer came not in patterns but in a transformation of Crix's entire form. It stretched upward, becoming almost humanoid, then extended a crystalline hand toward the containment field. The meaning was clear. Maya looked at the security panel, then at the armed guards. Beyond the station's walls, the darkness was growing. They had minutes, maybe seconds, to decide. Dr. Patel, one of the guards warned, raising his weapon. Don't even think about it. But Maya wasn't thinking anymore. She was acting on something deeper, an instinct, a trust built through hours of communication with a being that could have killed them all but chose to warn them instead. Her hand moved to the containment controls. Sometimes, she said, remembering words her grandmother once told her, the biggest risk is not taking one at all. She disabled the field. The moment the containment field dropped, everything changed. Crix's crystalline form flowed forward, not toward Maya as everyone expected, but into the station's systems themselves. The crystalline being merged with the nearest computer terminal, its structure spreading through the station's neural network like liquid light. Alarms blared. Security officers raised their weapons. But before anyone could fire, every screen in the station lit up with a single message: now we can show you. The station's holographic systems activated, filling the air with a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. But this wasn't the familiar map from their databases. This was something else entirely, a living history of destruction, showing hundreds of worlds going dark over millennia. The Void Hunters, Crix's message scrolled across the displays. They consume civilization after civilization. Not for resources. Not for territory. They feed on potential. Maya watched in horror as the map zoomed in on a thriving world. The recording, taken from Crix's species archives, showed a planet much like Earth. But then the darkness came, not as a military force or natural disaster, but as something far worse. It was like watching hope itself being drained from an entire civilization. They steal futures, Crix explained. Every choice not made. Every discovery never reached. Every connection never formed. This is their sustenance. Commander Ellis's voice crackled over the comm. Dr. Patel, the approaching vessels, they're forming some kind of barrier between us and the anomaly. Through the station's windows, Maya watched as the crystalline ships arranged themselves in a complex geometric pattern. Energy began to flow between them, creating a web of light that reminded her of Crix's earliest attempts at communication. "Your people," Maya said, both aloud and through the station systems where Crix could perceive her. "They're protecting us?" "Temporary shield," Crix responded. "But not enough. Need your help. Need human potential. Your species, you dream differently than any we've encountered." The holographic display shifted, showing the station and the approaching void. The darkness had form now, purpose. Maya could see structures within it, impossible geometries that hurt her eyes to look at. The Void Hunters weren't just a force of nature. They were intelligent, ancient, and hungry. Director Rochester's voice joined the conversation. "Dr. Patel, we're receiving reports from Earth. Similar anomalies are appearing across the solar system. Whatever these things are, this isn't just about our station anymore." Maya felt the weight of the moment crushing down on her. "What do you need from us, Crix? What can we possibly do against something like this?" The answer came not in words but in sensation as Crix interfaced more deeply with the station's systems. Maya felt rather than saw the possibility, a merger of human creativity with crystalline technology. Crix's species had the tools to fight the Void Hunters, but they had become too predictable, too logical. The Hunters could anticipate their every move. But humans were chaos incarnate. Unpredictable. Illogical. Creative in ways that defied rational analysis. "Your station," Crix communicated. "It can become like us. A bridge between crystal and consciousness. But requires choice. Sacrifice. Change." Understanding dawned on Maya. "You want to transform the station? Make it like your ships out there?" "Not just station," Crix replied. "Need pilots. Need human minds to guide crystal ships. Need human chaos to fight void logic." The implications were staggering. Crix wasn't just asking for help, it was proposing an evolutionary leap. A fusion of human and crystalline technology that would forever change both species. Through the windows, the Void Hunters' ships began their attack. They moved like predators, testing the crystalline fleet's defenses. Where they touched the energy web, both light and darkness seemed to scream. "How long?" Maya asked Rochester. "How long until they break through?" "At current rates of degradation." Ellis answered instead. "The energy barrier will fail in less than 30 minutes. Maya looked around the control room, at the faces of her fellow crew members. Fear was there, yes, but something else too. Determination. Curiosity. That uniquely human desire to leap into the unknown. "If we do this," she said to Crix, "if we agree to this transformation, what are our chances?" The response came with crystalline clarity: "Unknown. Never been attempted. But humans specialize in impossible things." A new alert blared. The Void Hunters had breached the first layer of defense. Through the gap, Maya caught a glimpse of what lay within their ships. It was like looking into the death of imagination itself. "Director," she said, turning to Rochester. "I know I've asked for a lot of trust already. But I need to ask for more." "We all do." Rochester looked from the approaching horror to the crystalline ships protecting them, then back to Maya. In his eyes, she saw the same decision she had made when she first chose to communicate with Crix, the choice to trust in possibility over fear. "What do you need us to do?" The transformation began with light. Crix's crystalline essence spread through the station's systems like flowing mercury, turning metal and plastic into something else entirely. The walls themselves began to pulse with an inner radiance, complex geometric patterns rippling across their surface. Maya stood in the control center, watching as her fellow crew members made their choices. Not everyone would undergo the fusion, someone needed to maintain normal station operations, and not everyone was willing to take such a leap into the unknown. But those who stepped forward did so with determination. The process is not painful, Crix communicated through the station systems. But it is profound. You will remain yourself, but also become something more. The crystal becomes part of you, and you become part of it. Commander Ellis was the first to volunteer after Maya. If we're going to fight these things, he said, his cybernetic eye whirring as he studied the approaching void, we need our best at the helm. The transformation pods grew from the station's walls like crystal flowers blooming. Each was unique, shaped by the subtle variations in the volunteers' neural patterns. Maya stepped into hers first, showing the others it was safe. The crystal flowed around her like warm water, and then through her. She felt it in her blood, in her thoughts, in the spaces between heartbeats. And suddenly, she could see everything, the station, the crystalline fleet, the approaching hunters, all connected in a vast web of possibility. This is incredible, she breathed, her words carrying through both air and crystal. It's like seeing in new colors, thinking in new dimensions. One by one, others followed. Ellis gasped as his cybernetics merged with the crystal, creating something entirely new. Dr. Rahman, the station's quantum physicist, laughed in delight as equations she'd struggled with for years suddenly made perfect sense when viewed through crystalline logic. But there was no time to marvel at their transformation. The Void Hunters had broken through another layer of defense, and now Maya could truly see them. They were ancient, patient, and utterly alien, beings that had evolved to feed on possibility itself, draining worlds of their potential futures. They're attacking the barrier in a fractal pattern, Ellis observed through their newly shared consciousness. Each breach creates opportunities for more breaches. Then we need to think differently, Maya responded. They expect logical responses, predictable defenses. So let's show them something new. Through their crystal link, Maya shared her idea with the others. It was crazy, irrational, exactly the kind of thing no logically advanced species would attempt. In other words, it was perfectly human. Director Rochester's voice came through their conventional comms, whatever you're planning, make it fast. The outer defense grid is at 18% and falling. Maya reached out through her crystal connection, touching minds with the transformed crew members. Together, they began to reshape the station itself. Walls flowed like water, corridors shifted, and the entire structure began to change its fundamental geometry. The Void Hunters paused in their attack, their dark ships rippling with what might have been confusion. This wasn't in any of their predictions, wasn't following any of the patterns they'd seen in countless conquered civilizations. Now, Maya commanded, and the station pulsed with power. The transformed crew members didn't fight as individuals but as a single organism, each contributing their unique perspective to create something greater than themselves. Dr. Rahman's understanding of quantum mechanics merged with Ellis's tactical experience and Maya's xenobiological insights, all filtered through the crystalline technology's vast capabilities. The station fired, not traditional weapons, but beams of pure potential. Each blast carried within it 1,000 possible futures, overwhelming the hunter's ability to drain them all. Where the beams struck, the void ships recoiled, their impossibly dark surfaces rippling with unfamiliar patterns. It's working. Ellis called out. They're falling back from the direct hits. But the hunters were ancient and clever. They began to adapt, their ships shifting to absorb and redirect the potential energy. A tendril of void energy snaked through a gap in their defenses, touching the station's outer hull. Where it connected, Maya felt the crystal go cold, futures dying before they could begin. They're learning, she warned. We need something else, something even more unpredictable. Through their shared consciousness, Maya felt a new presence. Director Rochester's voice, but not through the comms this time. He had entered one of the transformation pods. You said we need human chaos, his thoughts joined theirs. Then let's give them all of it. Every irrational hope, every impossible dream, every moment we chose to trust instead of fear. Let them try to drain that. The station hummed with new energy as Rochester's transformation completed. His lifetime of command experience, his understanding of human nature, and most importantly, his capacity for decisive action flowed into their shared consciousness. Together, they began to implement a plan that no purely logical being could have conceived, a plan born of human intuition merged with crystalline precision. The station's very structure began to shift again, but this time with a purpose that even their transformed minds could barely comprehend. As the Void Hunters pressed their attack, humanity prepared to show them why they should have never underestimated the power of irrational, impossible hope. The Void Hunters had never encountered anything like this before. For millennia, they had consumed civilizations that followed predictable patterns of advancement, their futures flowing in logical streams that could be easily drained. But now they faced something new, a hybrid consciousness that danced between order and chaos, crystalline precision and human improvisation. Maya felt the station's transformation complete itself, the structure now a perfect fusion of human engineering and crystalline technology. Through their shared consciousness, she could feel every crew member's contribution, Ellis's strategic mind, Ramon's quantum insights, Rochester's leadership, and dozens more, all working in perfect harmony while maintaining their individual sparks of creativity. "They're surrounding us," Ellis observed, his thoughts rippling through their crystalline network. "Standard encirclement pattern." "Standard is exactly what we don't want to be," Maya responded. She reached out to Crix, whose consciousness now flowed through every part of the station. "Show me again how your people first discovered the quantum fold technology." The knowledge flowed into their shared mind, centuries of crystalline development, seeking ways to travel between stars. But Maya didn't focus on the end result. Instead, she dove into the failed attempts, the discarded possibilities, the paths not taken. "There," she said, highlighting a particular abandoned approach. "Your people dismissed this because it was too unstable, too unpredictable. But with human intuition guiding it, understanding flowed through the network." Dr. Ramon's excitement peaked as she grasped the implications. "It's brilliant. The very instability becomes our weapon. We're not just fighting their ability to drain futures, we're overwhelming them with too many possibilities." The station hummed with power as they implemented Maya's plan. The crystalline structure began vibrating at quantum frequencies, each frequency carrying its own set of potential futures. But unlike the logical, orderly futures the Void Hunters were used to draining, these were chaotic, contradictory, gloriously human. Through the station's sensors, they watched the Hunters react. The Void ships rippled with what might have been confusion, their perfect geometric patterns faltering as they tried to process the flood of illogical possibilities. "Keep going," Rochester commanded. "Every dream, every hope, every crazy what if you've ever had, feed it into the field." The transformed crew responded with everything they had. A scientist's childhood dream of dancing among the stars. A security officer's secret hope of becoming a painter. An engineer's wild idea for a faster-than-light drive powered by love songs. Each impossible dream added to the quantum chaos they were generating. The Void Hunters began to retreat, their ship struggling to maintain cohesion as they were bombarded with more potential futures than they could possibly drain. But one massive vessel, perhaps their flagship, pressed forward, its darkness deeper than space itself. "They're attempting to concentrate their drainage," Crix communicated. "Focusing all their power on a single point." Maya felt at the moment the Hunters' attack hit. It was like feeling hope itself being torn away, leaving only cold certainty in its wake. The crystal around them began to dim, futures dying faster than they could generate new ones. In that moment of crisis, Maya remembered why she had first reached out to Crix, not because of scientific curiosity or logical analysis, but because she chose to see possibility where others saw only threat. And in that memory, she found their salvation. "Everyone," she called through the network, "remember the moment you first chose to trust. Not because it was logical, not because it was safe, but because it was right." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Hundreds of memories flowed through their shared consciousness, first loves, leaps of faith, hands extended to strangers, trust given freely despite every reason for fear. The crystalline structure of the station began to pulse with a new kind of energy, one that the Void Hunters couldn't seem to drain. They can't drain these futures, Maya realized with growing excitement, because they can't predict them. Each act of trust creates an infinite web of possibilities too complex for them to consume. The station's crystalline structure resonated with their combined realization, transforming their understanding into pure energy. The quantum field they had generated shifted, no longer just defending against the hunters but actively pushing back against the void. Light bloomed in the darkness of space as other crystalline ships, Krix's people, caught on to what they were doing and joined their effort. The Void Hunters' flagship writhed as it was surrounded by a web of unpredictable, trust-born futures. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, there was perfect stillness. Then, with a silent ripple that shook the fabric of space-time itself, the Void Hunters began to dissolve. Their ships, built to consume predictable futures, couldn't maintain cohesion in the face of so much beautiful chaos. As the Void ships faded from existence, Maya felt a profound shift in their crystalline network. The hybrid consciousness they had created wasn't just a weapon, it was a new way of being, a bridge between species that offered possibilities neither had imagined before. What happens now? Rochester asked, his thoughts tinged with wonder. Through their connection, Krix shared a vision of the future, not a single predetermined path, but an infinite array of possibilities. Human creativity and crystalline technology spreading through the galaxy, not as conquerors or defenders, but as explorers and creators. We've done more than defeat the hunters, Maya said, watching the last traces of void energy dissipate into normal space. We've proven that the most powerful force in the universe isn't order or chaos, logic or emotion, but the willingness to reach across the divide and trust in possibility itself. The transformed station hung in space, its crystalline surface reflecting the light of distant stars. Inside, humans and crystals worked together to understand their new existence, each bringing their own unique gifts to their shared future. And somewhere in the vastness of space, other civilizations looked up at their skies and saw something new, pinpoints of light that sparkled with both crystalline precision and human chaos, bringing with them not conquest or consumption, but an invitation to imagine impossible things.